Oh, hello. Welcome once again to Stuff and Things, where I like to talk about stuff and occasionally even things. I'm your good friend Bradley, and today is a Sunday Stuff and Things. And on the Sunday Stuff and Things, we have stuff and things to talk about, including upcoming videos, things that you can look forward to on Stuff and Things YouTube and Stuff and Things Patreon, including in those videos some really interesting things we're going to be talking about. Well, we'll get into it, but cool stuff with rangefinders versus SLR cameras. We have a not gonna like this video, a pipe blend video that will be exclusive on Patreon, really cool notebook, so all sorts of good stuff going on there. We have to have one more hat update because we have solved the mystery as to where this hat came from, the replacement of the hat, my hat that I'd had for 25 years. We're gonna talk a little bit about the man nod, an interesting anthropological thing that you may have noticed if you are a human being and you have seen people interacting with each other. And then we're going to talk about YouTube auto-dubbing. Is something that I didn't even really know existed, but I have since discovered it and I find it hilarious. And then of course we'll have your questions, comments, and feedback in hashtag askstuffandthings. Why didn't I write that down? And then at the very end, we will have the Patreon shoutouts and updates, things you can look forward to exclusively on Patreon. So let's get into it. Let me write this down. Okay, so what can you look forward to on Stuff and Things YouTube and Stuff and Things Patreon? First of all, this coming week we will have a video on Garry Winogrand, who is a very famous street photographer from back in the day, 50s, 60s, 70s, into the 80s. And he was giving a talk at Rice University. I think I said 1977 last week, but it was in I think I said 79 last week, but it was actually 77. And somebody asked him about whether or not rangefinder cameras were obsolete, and he went on a big rant about why he prefers rangefinder cameras for most applications and comparing them to single lens reflex cameras, SLRs. And I thought it was a really interesting little clip, and so I talk about that in this video coming up. Winogrand on the SLR versus rangefinder debate. That'll be this week, Wednesday on YouTube, but Monday and ad-free, so early on Patreon. The week after that, exclusive to Patreon, we will have the I'm not going to like this, ... Gawith, Hoggarth & Co. Kendal Black Cherry. Something that it seems like I should hate, but made by a brand that I typically like, Gawith, Hoggarth & Company. It is a black Cavendish-based blend, and it is flavored with a black cherry flavor. So I shouldn't like it. I typically don't like aromatics. I especially don't like aromatics that are solely based on a black Cavendish component. But stay tuned. We haven't done an I'm not gonna like this episode in a while. I think it's gonna be really fun. You're gonna enjoy that. So that is not this coming week, but the week after, exclusively on Patreon. And then the week after that, I got some very cool things. I was contacted by a company called MeePlus. These are the boxes that the two things I got came in. They make journals, notebooks, whatever you want to call it, binders, a system of leather covers and inserts, pen holders, all that good stuff. And they contacted me after seeing my review for the original Midori Traveler's Notebook, or the Midori Traveler's Notebook, as we like to say. And she wanted me to check out some of her Slimpads. So she sent me a Slimpad Pocket and a Slimpad Personal Size. I don't even really want to show them to you right now. I've got them both here on the desk. They're just right out of frame. I'm holding them both up. I really like them. I really like them a lot, actually. They're really high quality leather. I have two different leather finishes. They come from two different Italian tanneries, I believe. They're kind of spendy, but stay tuned for this because this is really cool. I really like these journals, notepads, whatever you want to call them. And they have a really interesting, it's not even a new way of containing the inserts inside them. You know, with the Midoris, you have the elastic bands. I had the Rotor Fadden, who had the metal clips. There are different ways of putting inserts into notebooks. This is a very old-fashioned way, a tried and true way that we used to use maybe in grade school a lot. But it actually really works well in the form factor and just the quality that they have included it in these books, and I'm sorry I keep teasing you with this, but soon, in a couple weeks, you can see the box opening first impressions of these MeePlus notebooks. Really, really cool. Lots more good stuff coming up on both Stuff and Things YouTube and Stuff and Things Patreon. Stay tuned. All right, gang, I'm wearing the hat. The hat is on my head, and I love it. It's still a little tight. It's still squeezing my brain a little bit, but that's fine. I'm sure it's gonna work in okay. But I was completely flabbergasted when I received this. It just showed up in my P.O. box, and it had a woman's name on the package. I was like, a woman? A woman? Women don't watch Stuff and Things. I know a few of you do, so I don't want to discount that. But most women do not watch Stuff and Things. Well, I mean, most men don't either, but most of my audience is men. And so I was very confused. Like, who sent me this? Where did they find this? Turns out I got a comment from @rubberring. Ha ha ha! It was me! I did it! After some searching, I found the hat on eBay. I took a bit of a risk because I couldn't quite make out from the pictures if it was exactly the same hat. I asked the seller, Sarah, to include a message, but obviously she didn't. No, she did not. I'm so happy it is almost the same hat. Enjoy! Yes, thank you so much, Rubber Ring. I responded to your comment when I saw it initially. And yeah, that is the mystery solved. It makes so much more sense that one of you out there saw one of my videos where I was talking about the hat and then found it on eBay. The crazy thing is though, I looked on eBay and I could never find it, but then after I got this comment from Rubber Ring, I looked myself and did find another one. It was really bedraggled and kind of gross. None of them had the sized version that I had from the past. I mean, that was over 25 years old. All of them have this little bit of elastic now, but they're all basically the same, or the couple that I saw in there. But this one was by far, like this one looked brand new basically, and the ones I was seeing on eBay did not. So amazing. Thank you so much again. This is my hat now. I'm wearing this all the time, and it's basically like, you know, it's the king is dead, long live the king. The hat is dead, long live the hat. It's like nothing ever changed. Obviously that hat still, it fit me a bit better just because I had had it for so long. And this one, like I said, is a little tight. It's a little thicker just because the wool hasn't worn in so much. The wool on that one was almost see-through because I had just had it for so long. So maybe this is a little warmer. It's a little tighter, but it's my hat. I still have my hat. And if this lasts for another 25 years, I'm golden. So thank you so much @Rubber Ring. I really appreciate it. Mystery solved. Next. I was sitting outside of a coffee shop, a local coffee shop, as I am wont to do occasionally, and I was sipping on my little 8-ounce drip coffee with a tiny bit of room for cream in a to-go cup. And as I was sitting there, I was kind of reading occasionally, but then I was also sort of looking about, watching people as they were going by. I wasn't trying to get any pictures or anything on that particular day. I had my camera with me though. And there was a young woman sitting at the table next to me, not the same table, but the next table over. And at one point she had like asked me to watch her. She had beets that weren't the color of beets. Anyway, she asked me to watch them while she went in and like used the restroom or something or got a refill of her coffee. So we had exchanged a couple pleasantries, but not really having any conversation. But I was sitting out there, you know, leaning back with my coffee, and I started chuckling to myself because in the 20 minutes that I was there, I counted 7 different men who walked by. Not every man did this, but 7 different ones did, who walked by, and as I was sitting there, sipping my coffee, looking around, probably with this look on my face, this blank, dead, cold-eyed expression. 7 different men walked by and did this. They did that to me. And when I saw them do that, I went, I did that to them. And this happened repeatedly, over and over and over again. Now, quite a few women walked by as well. None of the women, when they walked by, did that. Not a single one. A couple of them smiled, and then I smiled back, but I did not nod at them when they walked by. I always smiled at them, and I didn't initiate the smile. It was only if they smiled at me first, then I would smile back. I would say that in my town of Bellingham, people are pretty friendly. Like, you will get greetings from people, but not all the time. But it's not weird that someone would acknowledge you necessarily. Maybe in other cities, if somebody was like smiling at you as you're walking by, you might think that was weird, but it's not weird here. What was interesting is just noticing, it's a thing that I've definitely noticed before. The men do the nod and the women will smile. Fewer women smiled at me than men nodded at me. And the men who nodded at me, it was a large demographic swath. It was younger men, it was older men. And so this is what, and so I was chuckling to myself, and the woman who was sitting at the other table, she noticed me kind of laughing at myself, and she was like, "What?" And I said, "Oh, I just noticed there's been like 6 or 7 different men who have gone to me as they have walked by." And she was like, "Hmm." And I said, "Has a man ever done that to you?" And she's like, "I don't think so." And then I said, "Has a woman ever gone to you?" And she's like, "No, usually if it's a woman, I'll smile at her." And I went, "Mm-hmm. And if it's a man, it's usually a smile." So there it is. And I don't know if this is cross-cultural, if this is everywhere else in the world, but men will do that nod. And it's not a, "Hey, how you doing?" And it's not a, "Hey, I want to talk to you," or anything. It's just, it's this nod of acknowledgement. And I think where it stems from is this. Now, I have not done any research on this. I'm sure there are some like social scientists or sociologists or anthropologists or somebody out there has done some ridiculous study that costs millions of dollars to figure out something that's probably just common sense. But my feeling is, because even though now in this day and age, most men are not bludgeoning each other or like challenging each other to duels or anything like that, there is still this kind of unspoken thing that goes on between men, that if you're walking around and you see a man out in public and you look at that man and you lock eyes, if you make eye contact, there is kind of this weird unspoken challenge going on there. And so a man can respond to this in several different ways. Now, we're not actually going to fight each other, and I'm certainly never in the mood to like, "Oh, I want to go out and fight somebody." But if I go and look at a man and he looks at me, if he just looks away, okay, that's one thing. Maybe there's some kind of weird dominance thing that has happened between us where I looked and he looked away. If he just stares back at me like that, then okay, there's something going on there. There's something weird. Maybe there's a challenge. Now, maybe 1,000 years ago that would have blown up into a fight, but now it's just like, if somebody looks at me like that, if I've looked at them, I'm just like, all right, what's going on with you? It seems weird. It doesn't seem normal. If you look at somebody, a man, and he goes, and then you go, then it's the, I have noticed you, we have made eye contact, and we have both acknowledged the other person without trying to challenge the other person. We are just acknowledging each other's existence in a very neutral, it's kind of friendly, but it's not the same as like waving to somebody or smiling at somebody. It's just like a mutual nod of respect. It's like, you're okay, I'm okay, we have no issue with one another right now. And I think that's what the man nod is. And I definitely notice that people nod at me more now, or men nod at me more now that I am older. If I was like 22 and really scrawny, I don't think people would be nodding at me as much. But now that I am a man of a more advanced age, maybe there is like a respect thing going or something. I'm not sure. And it's maybe older men, but no, younger men were nodding at me too. But now when I go out and I'm walking around, and if I make eye contact with a man, very often I will get the nod. Very often. And I nod at people. You know what? I do nod at women sometimes. When I see women, if I'm walking down the street, I might go like that. But I don't notice other men doing that very often. So, give me your man nod experiences. Do you think that my anthropological explanation for the man nod is correct? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you. All right, and now briefly, I just want to mention something. I was watching a YouTube video the other day, and I noticed in the little gear symbol, the settings symbol, you could do audio, And before, when I checked that, it would be like a really weird, bad AI voice, or not even like AI, like a Siri style audio. So like if the original video was in English, you could maybe get a really weird version of Spanish or just a couple different choices. But I look now and there are a lot of different choices. And when I started clicking on them, they sound really natural. They still sound like AI voices, and I don't speak these other languages that I was looking at these videos in well enough or at all to know if they're accurate. So, but I went to one of my videos and I started playing with this, and it's ridiculous. It's hilarious. We're living in the future. Let me just show you some clips here. So I think I did French.
Oh, bonjour. Bienvenue une fois de plus dans Stuff and Things, où j'aime parler de trucs et même de trucs de temps en temps. Je suis votre bon ami Bradley, et aujourd'hui c'est un dimanche Stuff and Things.
Wir werden über ein paar Neuigkeiten sprechen, ein paar sehr wichtige Dinge, auf die ihr bestimmt unbedingt hören wollt. Darunter auch ein weiteres...
How about some Hindi?
थोड़ी बात करने जा रहे हैं। हम इस बारे में बात करने जा रहे हैं कि मेरे आहार उद्धरण के साथ क्या हो रहा है।
Italian.
Gli ultimi 2 video che abbiamo pubblicato su STUFFandTHINGS YouTube e STUFFandTHINGS Patreon, incluso il video
Spanish, of course.
También podéis esperar exclusivamente en Patreon. Así que antes de que todo se vaya al garete, vamos a ello. Muy bien, amigos.
And then Japanese.
11年前の B ビクターベーパーです。11年前に自分で作ったり混ぜたりしたベーパーは、当時は最悪な味だったけど、11年経つとどうなってしまうんだろう。レッドバージニアペリクミックスだった。材料は実店舗で買ったばかりだった。楽しい動画だ。その次の週には。
Japanese I could pick up a little bit more, and it sounded like he was really struggling there to get everything out. Isn't this crazy? This is where we are right now. And again, I don't know about the accuracy of these translations, this AI generated dubbed voice, but it's funny how it kind of sounds like me, and I don't know if it's just the same AI voice all the time, or if there's like several different, if it's an old man in a YouTube video, they will get an old man AI voice, or, you know, whatever. But it almost kind of sounded like if I were Japanese, that's the kind of voice I would have if I were Japanese, or if I were Italian, I would sound like that. It's weird. So I don't know if there's any of my actual voice going into the language model that's creating the dubbed version in these different languages. But I just thought it was funny, and I'd be curious to know if any of you are English as second language people out there, if you have a different native tongue than English. Watch if those languages are included, or if your language is included in the options there. Watch one of my videos in your native language, dubbed with that AI voice, and let me know, is it accurate? Does it seem good? Is it a viable alternative for somebody to watch a video? Really weird, really interesting. It is the future. All right, gang, but now it is time for hashtag #AskStuffandThings. Remember, if you have a question for me and you would like it answered on the Sunday Stuff and Things, you can tweet at SATBradley with the hashtag #AskStuffandThings, but you should not do that because nobody does, and I never really look at Twitter or X or whatever the heck it is called now. But if you are a Patreon supporter, you can write to me via Patreon, go right to the front of the line. You can hit that super thanks button under this video, go right to the front of the line, or you can leave questions, comments, and feedback in the comments section of my YouTube videos. First of all, we have a Patreon response. This is from @LucasRapils, perhaps. This is responding to last week's Sunday Stuff and Things. I would say that you eat varied food. So I talked about my diet, which isn't really a diet, it's just the food that I eat every week. Wondered if people thought I was a maniac, a monk, a crazy person. Here's what Lucas said. I would say that you eat varied food at regular timings. You take care about sugar intake, which is a good thing. Seems like a reasonably healthy diet. Probably it would be seen as a cheerless routine, but I would guess that in your case, it's just because eating is mainly utilitarian. You eat things you know you like for sure, and moreover are easy to prepare. That suits your preference and personal situation. Yeah, basically. I like to cook and try various things, so I can say my diet is probably more eclectic than yours, and also totally random. But I try to make it as reasonably healthy as it can be as well. Yeah, that's basically right. Thank you for that feedback, Lucas. @Michael Case via YouTube says, you don't have a diet, you have a food regime. Yeah. @Christopher Baden says, yes, you are a monk, Bradley. I don't think you're taking in enough calories versus your energy expenditure, but the results speak for themselves. I may try the Stuff and Things routine myself. Yeah, I've never actually counted the amount of calories I intake every day to see, you know, how much should a man of my activity level and height and weight and everything what should I be getting and what am I getting? But I just know it seems right to me. I don't seem hungry. I don't seem overly full. I notice, you know, if I ever feel like, oh, I better cut back, it's if I start getting any little bit of blubber on my side here. Right now I can pinch a little bit. I think that's just skin. Yeah, I think that's just skin right now. But if I start getting a little bit of something there, then I'll be like, okay, let's back off a little bit, maybe cut something out. So yeah, it's just, I've never weighed myself. I have no idea what I weigh. It's all on feel, baby. It's like jazz. Okay, and then we have at Commodore N64, good name, is a wool hat good for year-round wear? It seems like it would be hot on a hot summer day. Well, I wear this hat. I mean, yesterday it was like 85 degrees and I was wearing it. It's fine. It's not a big, super thick, like stocking cap or a watchman cap or a beanie, whatever you want to call it. I have a cashmere wool stocking cap that is, if you put it on, it feels as though your head has been placed inside an oven, like the top of your head. Great in the winter. I would not want to be wearing that on a 90-degree day. This hat's fine. And when you sweat in a wool hat like this, it dries quickly and then it doesn't smell bad, I think. I mean, I don't think mine did. Maybe other people would, but it's good. Better than a cotton hat that just gets like sodden and then won't dry forever and then can get really smelly. Next, at Michael Case again. Didn't we have Michael Case earlier? Yeah. Says Kodak also makes T-Max in 400 speed. So I was talking about how I like using Tri-X 400. I like that faster film speed because it's not an issue right now because it's so nice and sunny in the summer, but in the winter, it's very overcast here a lot, and so I want a faster film. The T stands for tubular shaped silver iodide X-tals, as opposed to the normal cube-shaped ones used in most emulsions. T ones are supposed to give a sharper, finer grain result. Judge for yourself. Yeah, so I was saying I didn't want to use T-Max because I was thinking of it as T-Max 100 speed, but they do make a 400 speed. I had forgotten about that, and I probably will try. Actually, I think the next time I order a roll, I order some film from B&H, maybe I'll grab one roll of T-Max because it's not too different. The developer I use is D76, and I think it's like 10 minutes and 30 seconds as opposed to 9 minutes and 45 seconds for Tri-X. So not a big difference in development. And I might want to check that out just to see how it looks. And then at Luigi Verona says, oh my God, Bradley just walked into the do audiobooks count as reading debate. So there was a comment last week where somebody was saying that they were going to listen to the audiobooks of the Aubrey Maturin series. And I was like, oh, that's great. But, or they said, I'm going to read it with the audiobooks or something like that. And I said, yeah, but just make sure you realize that that is not reading. You're not reading the book if you listen to the book as an audiobook. And I didn't think anything of that. And then Luigi left this comment, just walked into the do audiobooks count as reading debate. And so I thought, is there a debate? Because to me, it doesn't seem like there's any room for debate. It seemed very self-evident that listening to something is not the same as reading something. But then I did a very cursory search online and found that, yes, apparently there are people out there who say, I read 200 books last year. And they mean that they listened to 200 audiobooks. And I don't care enough to go on Reddit and start haranguing people for this, but that is absurd. You have not read a book if you have listened to a book. If you're a little kid and somebody reads you The Cat in the Hat, that doesn't mean that you read The Cat in the Hat. It means you listened to somebody read The Cat in the Hat. It's different. You may retain some of the same information because you're getting the same words spoken to you, but there's a huge difference between passively soaking in somebody else reading something to you and you actually going through the motions of reading and, processing that information. And maybe there's a word you don't know. Maybe you don't know how to pronounce something. You might have to look it up. Like you're actively consuming the information as opposed to just having it read to you. So no. There is no debate. Listening to an audiobook is not the same as reading a book. If you have listened to an audiobook of a book, you have not read that book. You have listened to the book. That's all there is to it. No debate. Okay, and then finally we have a little bit of feedback from the Brad Victor Vapor, the one that I did in 2014. Hated it then, and with 11 years of age on it, wanted to see if it was going to taste any better. Spoilers, it did not. This was an exclusive Patreon video. Don P says, you should send a sample of it to Beans316. Sounds like something he'd love. I don't know Beans316. I know John316, but not Beans316. But yeah, if you want some, no, I probably won't send it to you. And then next we have Les Brady, who says, at least it shows us that all the blends we buy is money well spent. And I agree. I think it's perfectly possible that you could blend a good blend at home, but I do appreciate the professionals out there who are creating these amazing things for us on a yearly basis. They're fantastic. Thanks for all that feedback, gang. Please keep it coming in. It really helps make the show go. All right, gang, but now it is time for the very best part of the show, and that is where we thank our Patreon supporters. Remember, if you would like to support Stuff and Things on Patreon, it is much appreciated. It basically is how I am able to keep doing these videos for you every single week. If you are a Patreon supporter, you get access to the stuff that posts on YouTube early and ad-free, but you also get access to exclusive Patreon videos, things that I cannot post on YouTube and stay monetized on YouTube. Stuff having to do with the pipe hobby. So $5 a month gets you in the door on Patreon, and you'll have access to the archive of the old pipe blend reviews. I post a new one every single week. Fun stuff there on Patreon. And every week I like to shout out those who support the channels at $25 or more a month. The producers of Stuff and Things. People like Jason Buckner, Arcturus, Ashes of the Phoenix, The Friendly Piper, GreatGrol, Glenn, Just Glenn, David Severin, Nicholas James, Kyle Whitmore, Mr. Gibson, and Chris Caughey. And of course, the crazy people, the maniacs who support Stuff and Things at $100 a month, people like Bob Magee. And we'll never forget our dearly departed friend and Hall of Fame member, Peter Straub. Now, what can you look forward to exclusively on Patreon this week, where you'll have the Garry Winogrand debates the SLR versus rangefinder thing early on Monday and ad-free, but then on Thursday, we will have from the archives Samuel Gawith Full Virginia Flake. Ooh, that's one of the big ones, and that was one that really caught my attention back then. This was 10 years ago that I reviewed this first. It's a blend I love. I can hardly get it ever, but I love it whenever I have a chance to get it, and I loved it from the very start. So check out that From the Archive review. We'll be posting this Thursday. Lots of other good stuff, exclusive coming to Patreon as well. Stay tuned for the Garry Winogrand video coming up this Wednesday. Then Patreon exclusive the week after that will be the I'm Not Going to Like This Gawith, Hoggarth and Company, Kendal Black Cherry. The week after that, the MeePlus notebook systems. Very cool stuff coming up. But until next time, until we meet again, I've been your good friend Bradley. You've been the audience. This has been Stuff and Things on a Sunday Stuff and Things. I'll see you later.